He deceived his wife into signing divorce papers, then he lost everything. Clara Bennett had always dreamed of a love like this. When she married Daniel Foster, a wealthy entrepreneur in Carsonville, Nevada, she thought she'd found her forever. He was charming, thoughtful, and generous, at least. That's what everyone saw. To Clara, he was her soulmate, the man who made her heart skip with just a look. Every morning, she woke up feeling grateful, whispering thanks for their love. Their life seemed perfect: fancy dinners, dream vacations, and a cozy home filled with joy. It was everything Clara had ever wanted. She loved him deeply, and in her eyes, he loved her just as much. When he held her close, she felt safe. When he kissed her forehead, her belief in their love grew stronger. Daniel had given her a life she never thought possible, and she was forever thankful. But Clara didn't know that Daniel's love was a lie, a carefully crafted act. While she poured her heart into their marriage, he was spinning a web of deceit. There was another woman, Sophia, younger, clever, and strikingly beautiful. Daniel wasn't just cheating, he was planning something much worse. Late at night, while Clara slept, dreaming of their future, Daniel stayed awake. He wasn't thinking about their vows but about how to escape them. He wanted Sophia, a new life, and to get it, he needed Clara gone. Soon, his cruel plan would start. Clara sensed a change before she understood it. Daniel, once so warm and attentive, began to act differently. At first, it was small things: unanswered calls, brief replies, a faraway look in his eyes. She told herself it was just work stress, that every marriage had rough patches. But deep down, a quiet fear started to grow. He stopped coming home early. When he was home, he barely spoke. He no longer held her hand or kissed her goodnight. The warmth in his voice turned cold. Clara tried harder, cooking his favorite meals, dressing up, planning special evenings. But nothing worked. Daniel stayed distant, like she wasn't even there. One night at the dinner table, she found the courage to ask, "Daniel, is something wrong? Did I do something?" He barely glanced up from his phone. "Just stressed with work," he mumbled. She wanted to believe him, she needed to. But something felt off. Days became weeks, and things only got worse. Daniel stopped smiling at her. He stopped touching her. It was as if she was no longer his wife, just a stranger in their home. Clara cried herself to sleep, wondering what she'd done wrong. She didn't know Daniel's heart belonged to someone else. Then one evening, he spoke to her seriously, but not how she hoped. He looked troubled, almost nervous. "Clara, I need your help," he said. Her heart jumped. Maybe this was the moment they'd reconnect. "Of course, Daniel, anything." He sighed deeply. "The business is in trouble. I need you to sign some papers. It's just legal stuff to protect our money. I need to put some things in your name for now." Clara didn't hesitate. She trusted Daniel more than anyone. He was her husband, her partner through thick and thin. Without thinking twice, she grabbed the pen and signed every page he pointed to. She didn't read the fine print. She missed the hidden words. She didn't realize she was signing away her marriage. 2 days later, the truth hit her. Clara came home from the store, arms full of groceries, ready to surprise Daniel with his favorite dinner. But as she walked in, she saw him in the living room, a cruel smirk on his face. "We need to talk," he said. Her stomach twisted. "What is it?" He held up the papers she'd signed, waving them like a trophy. "You're not my wife anymore. Clara, you signed the divorce papers yourself." The room spun. Clara's knees buckled. What are you saying?" He stepped closer, his voice sharp and cold. "I never loved you, Clara. You were just in the way. Thanks to your trust, you're out of my life for good." Tears filled her eyes, but she held them back. She stared at him, trying to understand how the man she loved could do this. "And Sophia?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Daniel grinned. "She's the woman I want, not you." Clara's heart shattered into pieces. Everything she'd built, everything she believed in, was gone in a moment. Just like that, she was no longer his wife. Clara barely slept for days. She moved through the house like a shadow, her heart heavy with pain. She couldn't believe it. How could the man she loved so deeply betray her? She kept hoping it was a cruel joke, that Daniel would come back. But the truth sank in harder each day. Daniel didn't love her, he never had. Now she was just a burden in the home where she once felt safe. The final blow came one morning. Clara was in the bedroom, quietly folding clothes, trying to stay strong. She heard footsteps and turned to see Daniel in the doorway. "Pack your things," he said coldly. "It's time to leave." Her hands froze. "What?" she whispered, her voice trembling. He smirked. "You heard me. You don't belong here anymore." Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Daniel, please, we built this life together. I loved you. How can you throw me away like this?" Daniel crossed his arms, his face full of arrogance. "You were never part of my future. Clara, I just needed you gone so I could be with Sophia." The words cut like a knife. Her heart broke completely. She looked around the room they'd shared, the bed where they dreamed together. The walls that held their laughter now meant nothing. Her hands shook as she grabbed a suitcase. She stuffed in what she could, her mind numb. Daniel stood there, watching her like she was nothing. As she zipped the bag, she turned to him one last time. "I gave you everything," she said, her voice breaking. "I loved you with all my heart." Daniel laughed, a cold, heartless sound. "That was your biggest mistake." Clara's tears fell, but she wiped them away quickly. She wouldn't let him see her crumble. With a deep breath, she lifted her chin. "One day, Daniel," she whispered, her voice steady despite her pain. "One day, you'll regret this." Daniel smirked. "Doubt it." She walked past him, her heart pounding with hurt. But deep inside, something stronger stirred. She'd lost everything today, but this wasn't the end. One day, she'd rise, and Daniel would be the one begging. Clara wandered the streets of Carsonville, her suitcase dragging behind her. The city that once felt like home now seemed strange and cold. She had nowhere to go, no family to turn to, no place to sleep. Just days ago, she had a house, a husband, a life she believed in. Now she was nothing. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to cry. She'd already shed too many tears for a man who didn't deserve them. The betrayal still hurt, but she knew she couldn't let it break her. As she walked through the busy streets, people hurried past, lost in their own lives. No one stopped to ask if she was okay. No one saw her pain. The world kept moving while hers had collapsed. Just as her legs felt ready to give out, a voice called her name. "Clara?" She turned slowly, confused. A tall man in a neat suit stood before her, his warm hazel eyes full of surprise. It took a moment to recognize him. "James?" she whispered. James Parker had been an old friend, someone she knew before marrying Daniel. He'd always been kind, always looked at her with respect. But back then, Clara was too in love with Daniel to notice. Now, standing before James in her broken state, she felt embarrassed. "What happened to you?" he asked softly, seeing the pain in her eyes. Clara hesitated, her throat tight. How could she explain? I lost everything," she admitted, her voice barely audible. James's face softened. He didn't push for details or judge her. Instead, he said, "Come with me." Clara blinked. "Where?" "My office," he said. "I run a company now. I can help you." Pride made her pause. She didn't want pity or to seem weak. But she had nowhere else to go. With a deep breath, she nodded. James led her to a sleek office building in the heart of Carsonville. She could hardly believe it. Years ago, he'd been just a dreamer like her. Now he was a successful businessman. As they entered his office, Clara felt overwhelmed. The space was modern and elegant, far from anything she'd imagined for herself. "I'll give you a job here," James said, watching her closely. "It won't be easy, but I know you're strong." Clara swallowed hard. "Why are you helping me?" James smiled. "Because I've always believed in you, Clara, and everyone deserves a second chance." For the first time in days, hope flickered in her heart. Maybe she'd lost everything, but this could be a new beginning. She shook James's hand. "I won't let you down." And with that, her transformation began. Clara started at James's company with nothing but determination. She'd lost her home, her husband, her pride, but she wouldn't lose herself. She began as an assistant, handling small tasks, learning the basics, but she saw this as her chance. She couldn't fail. Every day, she arrived before anyone and stayed late after the office emptied. She absorbed knowledge like a sponge, asking questions, taking notes. She studied business strategies, marketing, and design. She barely slept, but she didn't mind. She had a goal: to become powerful, untouchable. James watched her with admiration. He'd always known Clara was strong. But now he saw her fire. She wasn't just surviving, she was determined to thrive. Months passed, and Clara's hard work paid off. She mastered the world of interior design, learning to create, market, and sell. She studied investments, understanding how to grow money. She no longer dressed like a broken woman. She carried herself with confidence, like a leader. James was so impressed that one day he made an offer. "I want you to be my business partner," he said. Clara's eyes widened. "What? You've proven yourself," he said with a smile. "You're not just an employee. Clara, you're a force." Tears filled her eyes. Just a year ago, she'd been thrown out like trash. Now someone believed in her enough to share power. She shook his hand firmly. "I won't let you down." From that moment, Clara soared. She built her own design brand, launching a home decor empire. She became one of the most influential women in Carsonville. People who once ignored her now admired her. She was no longer Daniel's discarded wife. She was Clara, the unstoppable, unbreakable leader. But fate wasn't done with Daniel. His downfall was just beginning. Daniel thought life with Sophia would be perfect. She was young, stunning, and exciting, everything he thought Clara wasn't. But he was wrong, terribly wrong. At first, things seemed great. Sophia loved spending his money, and Daniel loved showing her off. Expensive jewelry, designer clothes, luxury trips, she got whatever she wanted. He thought he was living a dream. But dreams don't last. Sophia wasn't like Clara. She didn't care about him, only what he could buy her. And she had no limits. She threw wild parties, shopped endlessly, and always demanded more. Daniel's bank accounts drained faster than he expected. He ignored the warning signs. Then his business started crumbling. Deals fell apart, clients left, and debts piled up. Daniel tried to fix it, but Sophia's spending never stopped. "I didn't sign up to live like this," she snapped when he asked her to cut back. One by one, his luxuries vanished. First the fancy cars, then the house. Credit cards maxed out, loans went unpaid. He begged banks for help, but no one trusted him. His once respected name became a joke. Then came the final blow. Sophia, the woman he'd destroyed his marriage for, packed her bags. "I didn't marry you to be broke," she said coldly. "You're useless." She left without looking back, leaving him in the ruins of his life. He'd lost everything, his money, his reputation, his wife. For the first time, Daniel felt what Clara had felt when he threw her out. It was unbearable, desperate and broken. He realized only one person could help. The woman he'd betrayed, the woman he'd destroyed, Clara. Daniel had never felt such humiliation. Just a year ago, he'd been wealthy, powerful, respected. Now he had nothing, no money, no home, no dignity. With no other choice, he swallowed his pride and walked into the sleek office building bearing Clara's name. He'd once thrown her onto the streets. Now he was the one standing outside her empire, waiting to be let in. When he entered her office, he barely recognized her. Clara looked confident, powerful, like a queen in her kingdom. She wore a sharp blazer, her hair neatly styled, her presence commanding. She was no longer the trusting woman he'd betrayed. She was something greater. He cleared his throat, searching for words. "Clara, She looked up, her face unreadable. "What do you want, Daniel?" He hesitated. He'd rehearsed this moment, but now he felt small, pathetic. "I made a mistake," he blurted out. "I was foolish. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." His voice broke with desperation. "Please, Clara, take me back." She didn't react. She just stared, calm and steady. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face, not of love, not of pity, but of triumph. "You tricked me once, Daniel," she said softly, leaning forward. "But fate tricked you harder." His stomach twisted. He'd expected anger or maybe pity. But this was worse. He dropped to his knees. "Clara, please," he begged. "I have nothing left. I need you." She tilted her head, as if considering. "You need me?" she repeated. "That's funny, because when I needed you, you threw me away like I was nothing." His throat tightened. "I was wrong. I see that now. Just give me another chance." Clara stood, walking around her desk to stand before him. She looked down at the man who'd once broken her, now broken himself. "Daniel," she said slowly, "I rebuilt myself without you. I became everything you never thought I could be. And you? You became nothing. Tears burned his eyes. He'd never felt so powerless. She took a deep breath, then shook her head. I don't hate you, Daniel. I don't even need revenge. Her voice was firm, final, because karma already took care of you. Without another word, she turned and walked away. She left him kneeling on the polished floor, alone with his regret. In that moment, Daniel knew he'd lost her forever. Daniel never imagined his downfall would become the talk of Carsonville. But it did. The moment Clara saw him begging, desperate and defeated, she knew she'd won. She'd risen from nothing, built an empire, and proven her strength. He'd fallen from everything, left with only his mistakes. Clara's story spread, inspiring others. She became a symbol of resilience, a woman who turned pain into power. And Daniel? He faded into obscurity, a cautionary tale of betrayal and regret.